Well, here we go again, Ganz. This time in front of world-famous Galpin Ford.
The world's, what, largest Ford dealer? Not largest, most volume.
Yeah. It's not like they sold the world's biggest van once.
They just sold the most
They
cars.
sell the most, yeah. And they sell Jaguars and Aston Martins.
We should be on the other side of the
We
street.
should be the hip
Me
side.
And you should be.
Right. Yeah, Bo Bachman's in there. We're going to talk to him. I think his dad got this business started 50 years ago.
I heard he won it at a poker match or something crazy.
And they've sold everything from custom vans to Cobras over the years. Ton of history. And we'll go inside and take you on a little personal tour. Come on along. Whoa.
What's happening, man?
Brother, what's happening?
How are you, pal?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Hey, what's going on?
Well, we thought we'd get a little history on Galpin Ford.
Fantastic.
We know you guys have been here for a long time, sold many different vehicles over the years.
Yes,
Did your dad start it?
Actually, Galpin Ford was started by Frank Galpin in 1946, right after the war. And my dad came to work here as a salesman in 1953 and worked his way up.
And now look at you. Captain of the Galpin Ford ship, steering it right into the rocks, by the way.
Hey, we want to let him know that, though.
And over the years, like your dad, I mean, Galpin was one of the first dealerships doing the custom stuff, right? Custom vans, custom Pintos, selling Cobras back in the day.
We sold all kinds of cool things. We were the first Shelby dealer in California, actually, so we sold Cobras and GT350s
Did you ever
and
get
GT500s.
paid for that stuff? That's our long-standing.
We used to have to, it was funny, back then there were some times when we had trouble even selling the original Cobras and had to spiff the salespeople trying to get them out the door. Back then they were like, what, 8 or 9 grand? And
they were like $6,500. I would love here's what I would love to do. I would love to build a time machine, not so I could go discover dinosaurs or kill Hitler or anything, but so I could stand next to guys like pork chop sideburns, smoking a Tipperillo. It's 1968. They got a 427 Cobra that's been sitting around for 2 years, and there's some dude going, 5,500? I don't think so. I'm not dumb. Yeah. I know you see, I didn't just fall off a turnip truck. 3,500, because this thing's going to be worth $2 grand in 20 years. Believe you me.
Yeah, the funny thing is that exact thing happened. You know it did.
I know it.
The plaid sport coats. That was our uniform back in the day. I think it was like orange and brown. You know.
I know we were in love with that tartan color. Everyone was a Bay City roller back then.
The Herb Tarlick look.
Yeah,
right.
Everyone was a local sports anchor. I don't know what that look was, but all right. So that was through the '60s, and like I said, we got some of the pictures of some of the stuff, some of the vans, and we forgot about the Pintos.
The Pintos, the custom
LTDs.
Any Thunderbirds with leather, Louis Vuitton?
We did a Gucci Thunderbird, I think around 1974, 75, something like that. We were doing custom front ends on Pintos. We did a whole coloring book. We even helped a guy develop, or actually he developed the Flying Pinto, and we did some of the paint and interior work on that, but all kinds of crazy stuff.
And Bo and I got hooked up. We got pictures of everything here.
All kinds of crazy stuff.
Mustang with the rumble seat. Yeah, some of the Evel Knievel stuff more recently.
Actually, it was the rumble seats. Heinz Proctor installed the very first sunroof in America here at Galpin Ford. And then he did the rumble seat Mustangs, and then he formed the company ASC, which was the sunroof and convertible company.
Bo and I crossed paths many years ago when I was on Kevin and Bean, and they would always do the thing about being the #1 volume Ford dealer and how they had to keep it in California.
Wasn't it a Texas dealer or something that was?
There's a few troublemakers
it was a few
out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's some other Ford dealerships that were nipping at Galpin's heels.
I remember the commercial with Tawny Arnaud.
Yeah.
They're old Tawny. Yeah, now I got to do them.
Now Bo is taking over the reins.
Yeah.
And there was a Ford in Ohio. There was
Reichert Ford
in Ohio. And I would come on the air once a year and I'd be screaming, I don't care. There's no way that golden hubcap is leaving California. And if they do lose, we got to block off every train station, every bus depot. I went man at all the airports. There's no way that thing's making it back to Ohio. And then I would go through this history of what has happened the years that Galpin Ford lost it. Last time they lost
Earthquakes, floods, fires, locusts.
That's right. Like Big Tommy Baker, the deal maker out of Waco, won it in '71. That's when we had the quake. In '79, it was Big Walt Heffman Ford that won it in Ohio, and that's when the Rams lost the Super Bowl. Like, I would equate some natural disaster with every year. But as I look back on the wall, you guys have won it starting in '90.
1990 was our first year, so it's been 20 consecutive years. We're trying for 21 now. And thank you, Bud. I mean, that was before we even met. And you actually, I was completely caught off guard. I'm getting these phone calls first thing. Dude, Mr. Bertram's on there, like, you know, talking about getting down to Galpin Ford, man.
I was making fun of you guys, but it was fine.
Dude, it worked.
I was yelling at everyone.
You probably carried them a couple of years of making that award.
I was like,
Absolutely.
maybe you don't have enough money for, you know, an F-250 or at the time, or Taurus or whatever. Maybe you don't have. Why don't you get a few guys together and pool your money and get a 250? You take it on a Monday. You take it on a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep the title here in California.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And so now, what's the biggest seller for Ford right now? I mean, which models?
It's still F-Series trucks. The new Edge, interestingly enough, was our #1 selling passenger vehicle last year, and the new Fusion.
And how does it work regionally? Like, I know if you live in North Dakota, you're probably going to move more pickup trucks than you would in North Hollywood. And here you'd move more Edges than you would move in North Dakota or whatever it is. But does it change regionally from place to place quite a bit?
Like, we kill it with Mustang.
5.0
Mustang, this is
now.
Mustang, you know, territory here.
Right.
Still, F-Series is our #1 seller, so trucks are still the big seller. But you know, back in the snow, they do, you know, more 4-wheel drives and things like that.
Back in the day, cars were rusting out like crazy in the East Coast.
Yep.
Prior to the fine, you know, engineering at Ford to yada yada yada. Yeah, fix that.
I'll tell you the thing about Ford is I've been poking my head inside of these Fusions and Tauruses and Mustangs and stuff. They got their interiors together quite nicely.
A good Euro flavoring too, I think. You know,
Yeah, a little Euro, little dusting of paprika on some of these cars, which is nice. You know what I love? I love terrazzo, by the way. This floor.
Yep.
This floor was laid in 1961.
66.
Don't
Very
ever
close.
correct me on camera. It was laid in '61. The dealership opened in '66,
sorry,
but
you're
they wanted to
correct.
get started on the floor early.
Yes.
Okay. This floor was laid in 1966. Through those years, 1 billion shoes have crossed this thing. There's been gum, babies vomiting, Bo drunk wearing his biker boots coming in and out of here, heavy set dudes knocking over stuff, Christmas parties, people hoisting things, dropping, people having sex on this floor. Brand new. God, I love this stuff.
Coat of wax.
It is amazing. It's indestructible. It's
absolutely true.
This floor is 45 years old, and if you put down carpet or linoleum or whatever, boom, right?
And it's probably illegal for some reason today.
Yeah,
you probably found some reason
because it
why
contains
this.
cement and the polish is cancer causing or something.
Either way, look at this. God damn, nice cars, but the floor. I mean, listen, you can go to any dealership and look at a
Ford
Taurus or
and
Fusion, but the flooring. You're not going to find
Dude, and look
that
at these
anywhere but
squares too.
Galvin.
I mean, they're not like
Unbelievable.
little pieces here.
All right, should we go on a little tour?
Let's do it.
Bo has a lovely, I would go ahead and just call it a museum, filled with a very eclectic collection.
There's some great cars in there. We've been there
Really
a couple
cool
of
stuff.
times, and every time you go in there, the array of cars gets bigger, and there's some really bitchin' cars that I don't think a lot of people know you guys have.
But let's not build it up in case we're
right.
disappointed.
Well, yeah, they
That's
might
true.
be.
There's a couple.
It'll
of things
probably
on
be
it.
just okay.
Yeah, just okay.
And then it'll be gravy when we
Yeah,
get
74 Pinto will be in there, something in there.
there. Hey, ladies first.
Yeah,
Welcome.
you're right, Adam. It's not going to be any good in here. For our listeners, you probably want to turn down the volume for the next 20 minutes.
Whoa, wow, I'm seeing things. All right, couple things. I guess we should start with the Mustangs, but boy, we're going to get into that Daytona over there as well. All right, so first off, we have a convertible Mustang that was Ronald Reagan's car.
Yeah, actually, this was Ronald Reagan's parade car when he was running for governor. Back in, I don't know when he ran for governor.
Governor of California, I don't know, in the 70s, the late 60s?
I think it was the late 60s.
Yeah,
So
late
that's
60s.
actually on loan from the Reagan Library. They didn't have a place to put it. They asked if we would store it and show it off, so we did.
They don't have a place to put it. That place is like 500,000 square
I
feet.
know.
They have Air Force One over there.
Yeah, inside, but no room for the car.
They got room for a 747 over
They can't
there.
put a Mustang
They have
convertible
room for a Mustang convertible.
But it's a cool display here, though, you know?
No, listen, I wouldn't argue with them. I'm just thinking out loud, you know. So this is Reagan's actual car. Reagan's butt would have sat up on that Landau or Townau cover. I can never get the boot. I'm not sure what to call this baby. And it looks as is. It looks
Original paint.
I think it's all original.
It's got that old.
Is it? Did we figure out it was a 64?
65?
65?
I think it's a 65.
65.
Yeah, 65.
Man, love the white
With
steering
AC
wheel
and a
the white
convertible.
dash.
Nice combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder where this came from, because this could have very well been sold to the Reagans or their people by your pops. Right?
Actually, it's the one car in here that doesn't have Galpin Ford license plate frames. It was from Hawthorne, Chaffee and Hawthorne.
Wow.
They're gone.
Where are they now?
I don't think they're still in business
Well,
anymore.
there you go. That's
Didn't
the
have to worry
point.
about competition.
All right, so this is the car Reagan was shot in. Gotcha. That's why I'm an A student. Now we're getting to what looks like a 65.
66.
66.
The grill gives
I'm
it
sorry,
away.
let me
Ace the grill
correct
gives it away.
myself for correcting you. Actually, this is a 65 Mustang that became a
Carryover?
66 Shelby. Carryover.
Some people like to call those leftovers, Adam. Remember we had-
Interims.
There were 252
Interims,
carryovers
Yeah.
built.
Oh, Donnie loves those babies.
So
and I thought it was a
6S100?
65 because I don't know why the rims and I don't know what I was
Well,
looking
the grills
at.
on 66s are all the metal slats versus the honeycomb, I think, for the most part.
The carryover is the most, I don't know, value-wise. Is it 65 carryover and then 66, or is the carryover at the top of the...
Now, the 65 is the big money car still.
Right.
And then I would say the carryover and then the 66.
And then next to it we have, so we're basically going in sort of chronological order.
That's correct, yeah.
By the way, those Donnie used to have one, the Boss 302s.
Oh,
man,
awesome
those
car.
things are going up in price. I mean, maybe the Boss 429s are bringing them up.
The
But
302s went crazy. Anything with like the performance badging or something, all gone. You know, that boat sailed like years ago now.
yeah,
No, it's true. And with the new Boss 302 coming out, I think there's a bit of a renewed interest as well. So,
sure.
again, helping them with the prices.
So we move ahead to a 428 Cobra jet. And I know these, it's a 68 Stang, so it says.
Yep.
GT 500KR. These are like, I know this is more the purist car, and Sandy's a bigger fan of that, but this is just funky enough to work for me.
This is right before Shelby goes really bad with the styling, with the NACA ducts and the weird fog lights and pieces that just look kind of
We'll get to
bad
that one
inside.
next. So we can bag on that. Actually, what's cool about this car personally is it was sold new at Galpin Ford in 1968. We actually did a little bit of custom work to it, like a steering wheel and some other little minor things. And I got a call from a guy a few years ago that said, hey, I'm looking at a new Shelby. Do you think you'd be interested in taking mine in on trade? I said, absolutely. And he came with a stack of paperwork this thick on everything about this car.
And you get what, like about $4,500 for this, and a couple $100 off the car. And what's this car worth now?
I would say a KR in this condition is probably worth between 125 and 150 grand.
So you did okay.
So yeah.
And
did all right.
It's a car business. Yeah.
Actually, we gave him a very fair price for it. We gave him market value.
as they do all their customers at
Absolutely.
Galpin Ford. All right, so now we move into, are we in 70 yet?
We're 1970, correct.
And this is where we're going berserk here. I do, though, appreciate the 5 inlets in the hood. Actually, probably 3 inlets and 2 outlets. We got the
Got the old NACA
GT3
ducts.
350. Oh, I like this color combination with the white and the burgundy. Is that a burgundy interior?
Well, they call it a red interior. Actually, there were only 2 that were built in this color combination, in red, white, and blue. And actually, this car was sold new at Galpin Ford as well in 1970.
And does your dad, like you ever talk to him, do you remember these things? You remember the characters at bottoms? You go, oh yeah, that was a dentist, that Escondido. I hated that asswipe.
Like most of the guys he really liked and enjoyed dealing with.
Sure.
It depends on the customer, actually. He remembers the customers more than the cars.
Sure. That's
Well, the many repeat customers here at Galpin
Absolutely.
Ford.
Well, he's got them going back 5 generations, literally.
now there's a part of me who wants to keep going down Mustang Road, but there's another part of me that's staring at a Daytona, a Cobra Daytona, and it looks like an original.
Well, if it was, it'd be worth about 10 or 15 million bucks.
That's why I was
And it
confused.
wouldn't be
On
sitting
loan
here.
from a rich guy?
No. That's actually a reproduction.
Wow, it's
Superformance or
It was actually a really early reproduction, so it wasn't a superformance.
You know what? Maybe that's what it is. Sorry for jumping in, but so when we talked to Pete Brock, when I spoke to Pete Brock about the Daytona and the reproductions in the parking lot, by the way, at Pebble Beach.
yeah,
once.
we saw him.
He said I was
able.
able to change some things on the body that I'd wanted to do originally to the original Daytona, but didn't really have time or the money, or Carroll Shelby wouldn't let him, or whatever it was. He was up against it, in other words. But he said, now with this reproduction, I'm able to kind of change it subtly how I originally always envisioned it being.
That's cool.
This looks more like what he'd originally did, and less like the newer ones that you see. Is it possible that's what this is?
Because he was doing, I think he or somebody else was working on a couple of them before Superformance.
Yeah.
I think started licensing or doing.
That's exactly right. That's the story of what I've heard behind this. Still trying to find out the exact history of that car, but it was one of two that were built after the fact. It was for a wealthy gentleman that wanted to reproduce the car and spent a lot of money on it, but not an original, unfortunately.
Like the rims and the tires look so like authentic. Like
Well,
the car has a patina on it.
It's got the corrosion of the mag look.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, like
The worn plexi from
the
sliding.
plexi looks like it looks like either somebody lived by the beach or this thing was originally. It just has an original vibe to it.
It does.
It's a great looking car. Yeah, this is fun.
And actually, there's another one that I can show you as well,
Oh,
which
really?
is more original and actually has some original Daytona parts.
Well,
It
let's
was
go.
built.
Is that this one over here?
That's right over there.
I saw this when I had my car in the Aston service like about a year ago when they were working on this. And I was talking to the mechanic, and he just was having a great time working on the red. We're looking at a red 289 Cobra.
The owner of our body shop, Jay, owns both of these cars. He's had them for many years. So he's doing pretty darn well. I don't know what he paid for it, but probably a small fraction of what it's worth today. This is actually CX number 15, so a very early build car as well. And then this Daytona replica was actually built from original Daytona parts that were left over from racing. So a little bit more original, not quite.
So it's got a
It's
little.
cool because it's metal. Because I'm pretty sure that the Superformances are fiberglass.
Yeah.
And this is just this kind of hot because it's got the rivets that actually aren't just faked out. It holds all the panels together. That's a neat car.
Wow. This is a really interesting piece, and it is definitely one of those falls in this weird category of, well, it's not the original, but if the original's worth, I think one sold for 8.3 or something million. And by the way, everyone was disappointed. Yeah, they were devastated.
Right.
I spoke to Bob Bondurant about that car.
He owned it and gave it like he sold for what did he say like $100,000 or something back in his day.
Jeez.
100 grand.
Or was it
No, 10 grand.
10 grand.
10 grand. And by the way, who would even if it was 100 grand, who cares?
Yeah.
But it was still 10 grand. Like, and he said he bought it for $3,500. And he sold it for 10 grand about a year and a half later, and he thought he was a genius. And look, let's face it, if any of us bought a car for $35,000 and sold it, 18 months later for 100 grand, we'd be bragging too. If that same car rolled across the auction block. Well, first off, you should hope you die before that happens. Like Bob Bondurant should have went, listen, I got one foot in the grave. Let's not put that thing up on blocks until I go. Don't let it roll across the auction. Hold it until I die, because I don't want to know what that thing is going for. But actually, you see, Bondurant took that money and then started his school. So one could argue that seed money turned into something, whereas you would have spent it on jerky and whores. You see what I'm saying? It would all
You
be
read me
gone.
like a book, Carolla.
No, but I'm just saying, if you then took that 10 grand and bought an apartment complex that's now worth $5 million, then the sting would be taken out of it. But still, so this.
Well, just think about, like you were mentioning before, about the Cobras we've had sitting on the showroom floor that are now worth
Well, everybody's had one.
if we would have kept one.
Like Donnie had a Boss 302. I remember he got it was for a few. It was under 10 grand, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember him selling for like 12 or 10.
I don't even think
and
Donnie sold that thing for 12 or 10.
I think he did okay considering what he paid for it. We beat the crap out of it, and now it's
Considering
worth.
he put the shaker scoop in with a jigsaw.
Well, it was like
He put the
might be a
shaker
little rough
scoop
then.
in, right?
Yeah, some body shop did it, but it's like it's.
Oh, really? I got to talk to him. I think he told me he
I
did
think they
it.
did it at the transmission shop, at his dad's transmission shop.
puss.
Yeah.
Point is this has original panels, so in a way it's a lot like some of those Shelby carryover. We found some bodies.
We found 20 rusty chassis in the back of Shelby's garage that I forgot that were there.
Yeah,
And then all of it.
But this would
is probably more real
be
than those.
a tough. I mean, it'd be tough to put a price on a car like this.
I have no idea what this is.
Really difficult.
I bet
but
you he likes it and drives the shit
the
out of it.
aluminum body I like. Although I got to say this about the Cobras and about any cars, because a lot of guys do this with the Muras too. I don't like to see the TA radials on there. Go find something that fits.
Well, these cars, they make from Goodyear tires that plop right on here.
That's the point. Get something original, or I'm going to give you a little tip, Bo. You can take and sand this stuff off and smooth it down, the raised lettering, and stencil on Goodyear or Pirelli
wall
or whatever
side.
you want.
Black wall side.
Yeah, put the black wall side, but you still got to get get the oscillating spindle sander out. All right, should we? You like that word, don't you, Bo?
I love
Can
the
we
word
take a look at
oscillating.
some of the Big Daddy Roth stuff?
Absolutely.
So I
By the
know-
way, there's a Cobra. Cougar.
Oh,
we
yeah,
were
there's a
talking
Cougar
about.
over
See, that's
there.
like a 71 or something, 72.
Yeah, I don't know this car. It's a
Convertible
customer's
Cougar?
car we've been working on.
It's a later model. I like the 68, like the 68 with the smaller
I
compact.
think that would be like a 69.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little later than the ones that I like, but you don't see those on the road.
No.
I just miss the days when car designers would sit around and have big boardrooms and say, listen, what kind of weird and unusual way are we going to have to expose these headlights? They're going to flip over this way and then come back the other
clam?
way. We're going to do the clamshell. We're going to do the slide. We're going to do them like the Opal. What was that? The GT.
twist- the
the
twist
GT. We're going to do them like a Vet. What crazy way are we going to expose these headlights? And then what if someone had pulled these guys aside and said, what do you think the future of headlight exposure will be? And they went, oh, man, must be some sort of silver curtain or something. Like, nope, they're just going to be sitting there. Like,
Part of the body.
just part of the
Part of
body.
the body.
So this is the Big Daddy Roth car, or one of them that has a story about sitting in front of some bar in Mexico.
Actually, Orbitron was built by Roth in '66.
Mm-hmm.
He sold the car to, what was the gentleman's name? Anyway, it went missing in early 1970s, about 1972, 74, and was found in 2008 being used as a dumpster outside of a sex shop in Mexico.
With a painted donkey that looked like a zebra.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, a pretty, actually kind of fitting place to
That's the
find
kind
such
of
a
thing
weird
my
And who's the
Hey.
guy that's there that found the car? Did you find these questions out? Like, so you found this at a
Wayne Carini. He just happened to like that sex shop.
He was just-
and noticed. By the way, being used as a dumpster outside of a sex shop in Mexico is one of those things my agent would threaten me with if I ever. It's like, listen, if it weren't for me, you'd be being used as a dumpster outside of a sex shop in Mexico. So you'd better watch your tone.
That Dixon's a tough character.
He's a
man.
tough cookie. So, Big Daddy Roth, dumpster, Mexico. And the great thing about the 70s, it'll never happen, is things, you could lose track of things. People were so high in the late 60s and the early 70s, be like, whatever happened to that car? I don't know. We lost track of it. And then it turned up in 2005. But from this day forward, no one's going to lose track of anything. Everything will have GPS.
Rumor was a kid in El Paso used to drive it to high school.
Wow.
And then what happened, he
Ladies.
got trapped under the bubble in the summer heat,
Sure.
kicked his way out of the bubble, and when they tried
Like
to tow
Spinal
it,
Tap.
they tore the whole front end of it off. So
Wow.
when it was found, the front end was gone. But what was amazing, what was still there, the engine, transmission, the steering wheel. So the bones, everything was all there.
Was that
And-
restored here, or did you guys?
Yeah, we restored it here, and what we did is we put together as many of the original builders on the car as possible. So the Roth family was involved, the original designer, Newt helped us eyeball the car. Joe Perez redid the interior inside of his shop, inside of his garage, excuse me, that he did the same garage in the 60s. Larry Watson, who originally painted the car, who just passed away, he helped mix the paint, and his assistant, who helped with the car, painted it, Bill Carter.
Wow.
So we had a lot of the original guys working on the car to bring it back to as original as possible. And so we left a lot of mistakes as well, which was kind of interesting.
But original mistakes.
Original mistakes.
This was done at the LA Auto Show a couple years ago, too?
Yeah.
And the idea with the different colored lights in the front, the red, green, and blue, is it supposed to create something?
Well, you know, color television was all the rage back then. That was the new technology.
Living color.
Sure.
So the idea was when the three lights shone together, it'd be one white light. And it actually does work.
All right, let's keep moving on in the Big Daddy Roth department. Give us a little history on Big Daddy Roth.
Well, he was a custom car builder, kind of was the pioneer of the industry, and he looked at cars as an art form for the engines as well as the bodywork. And he really did things that were so outrageous in the day that, you know, no one really touched him. And in 1959, his big custom, which was originally called Excalibur, became the Outlaw. And that was one of the first of the really, in fact, I would consider the first of the really wild customs. And then he got into bubble tops. So Mysterion here was considered the wildest show car of the day.
Is that the twin engine one we're looking at?
Twin Ford V8s. And it was on the show circuit for many years, did extremely well. And unfortunately, this was the one car that was completely destroyed. So Orbitron and Mysterion were the cars that were missing.
By the way, how do you destroy? You don't destroy it like it didn't hit a 18-wheeler on the 101.
No.
It got destroyed when it fell out of the back of something when it was being transported or something.
Well, the frame literally just gave in one day. So the frame broke. They took the two engines, sold them, stripped the car of any parts, and junked it.
It's weird. They had no reverence for anything back then. Everything that was old was sort of crappy, and everything that was always looking toward the future. No one wanted to be reminded of the past. So this is a recreation?
This is a recreation, yes.
Of that?
Everything else is original.
And next you got the trike.
He was very famous for building trikes as well, so we have a few of his trikes. This one was Secret Weapon, which obviously has a military theme to it.
Yeah.
And the Great Speckled Bird. And then his last one was called Globehopper, which was named by Robert Williams. And he actually drove Globehopper to Alaska and back. He was
Wait
going to drive.
Wait a second.
He drove that trike to Alaska.
Yes.
This trike?
This trike right here.
To Alaska and back?
Yep.
And we'll get some pictures of this, but this is...
This I got to shoot.
I would not go from the pool to the tennis court on my Manor in this thing.
There he is in a postcard he sent to Robert Williams.
Wow.
And he even talked about driving it to the Soviet Union, but figured it would be a one-way trip. So,
sure.
But he made it to the glaciers.
We'll get a nice shot of that. And now, when did he pass away?
In 2001.
2001. And did he, did he profit from this? I mean, did he die a wealthy man? Does he have an estate that's worth something?
He didn't die a wealthy man, but he did all right. And the good thing was he was kind of in the next resurgence was coming back. And he really made his money on T-shirts and model cars and things like that.
When you were kids growing up, how many times you want that Big Daddy Roth model of the wacky Frankenstein something and all those cars of that era?
Was all his stuff, I mean, all that model stuff, I mean, all was the big shift knob and the crazy rat hanging
It was him and Robert Williams, and that was all those guys all worked for each other or were friends.
Yeah. Robert Williams worked for him as a graphic artist.
Yeah, we talked to Robert Williams a few months back at the SoCal Speed Shop. He was telling us about it, and just all those guys are really nice, down-to-earth guys.
Amazing.
And all friends back from the era, driving hot rods.
In fact, that's a Robert Williams. That's not original, or else that would be worth a ton of money too. But when he was airbrushing T-shirts at Knott's Berry Farm, that was the car that he drove there.
Oh, really?
And,
so you have the Honda Civic that he drove to Knott's Berry Farm.
He loved the small cars. He loved Hondas and Honda engines. And his
Not
buddy
stick
Von
to
Dutch
war.
pinstriped a lot of it as well, and he painted it. And this is where he put all his paint cans when he was painting signs and doing T-shirts.
Wow. And now, how did you find something like this?
eBay.
Good.
Wow.
You did the research. You tracked down the scent.
Well, I did make sure, because another one went for sale, I did make sure it was original car. So I had some pictures of this car from a couple of his books, so I was able to
Match it up
to
and
match
see.
it. And there were
Wow.
some weird things that would have been impossible to reproduce. And then the last one here, this is Rotar. For all intents and purposes, this is really the first flying car, and it really did work. It has two Triumph motorcycle engines turned on their side, which would spin the blades. And there was a remote that went into here, and he'd be able to rev it up and actually get it to levitate and float around.
Like a hover car kind of a thing?
a hovercraft.
So this is a early predecessor of the lowrider hopping car, where the guy's not in the car, but he stands next to the car.
It looks like a Team America.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Something from Team America.
It really does have that. Yeah.
And this was actually also responsible for changing the rules at auto shows. So at the 1962 Autorama, he went to the bathroom, and Dirty Doug, his assistant, who sculpted a lot of the cars, was revving it up. The blade flew off, hit the ceiling, and hit 5 people, unfortunately. So after that, you were no longer allowed to rev your
Fire
cars
the
at the
stuff
car
up.
show. So this
I
is
don't like to
responsible.
brag, but after my dance with the unicycle on Dancing with the Stars, they outlawed props on the show after that. So me and Big
congratulations.
Daddy have a lot of the same blood coursing through our veins.
Years from now, somebody's going to be cursing you because they want to bring something out in the show and they're not going to be able to.
30 years from now,
Carolla, that bastard.
a recovering alcoholic Justin Bieber's going to be like, I can ride a unicycle. And the dancer's going to be like, no, Carolla ruined that for everyone
Never
years
again.
ago.
Never again.
Well,
Bicycle
we couldn't
model.
pass through here without passing through Bo's toy collection. They're all real toys, really, essentially toys, but this is the Evel Knievel case. What do you got here? Some of the stuff I recognize, like the dragster and the scramble van, but other things I don't.
Okay, we got some from Japan over there, and
Skull
I like the
Canyon, that's a great one.
Flingamabob. The what?
The Skull Canyon.
Oh yeah,
Escape from Skull Canyon. I remember some of these toys.
and the Sports Illustrated cover there, and the Evel Knievel lock. What was another one? There's some really kind of weird stuff. over
Did
here.
his dragster pop forward somehow, or was it? Did it spring forward, or how did it work?
I don't remember that.
And then what is the Snake River Canyon thing? Does that?
Oh, that's an electric toothbrush.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Wow, man. It's
And
so
that Knievel, he knew how to market. He knew how to market.
He was a genius.
I gotta
And,
tell you that.
I miss Evel. You know, I built a car as a tribute to him, and sent him a picture, and he said, "I love it." So we ended up building a few Evel Knievel edition trucks. So that was the Gladiator.
The Gladiator.
And this again is just more cruise around on eBay drunk and just try to find Evel Knievel paraphernalia.
Nobody
That's
home.
exactly what it was.
Nobody home, wife and kids out in Aspen, and you're going, man, I got some me time on eBay and a
But,
credit card,
let
go to
me-
town.
That's what's awesome about drunk eBaying. Is
Yeah.
it's like getting Christmas as presents.
And you're
you know?
satisfied because you bought it for yourself. It's
Exactly.
exactly
You know what
what
you
you
want.
And you buy stuff when you're drunk, you don't remember buying it, and all of a
Exactly.
sudden you're like, "Who sent me this scramble van?"
Payday. You got
I
this.
love it.
Yeah, and let me just say this to all the ladies, you know, they get on to us because Donnie's messing around with his taco mini bikes. I'm sure Bo's wife's had an ass full of the Evel Knievel on
yeah.
eBay. My wife's had enough about me cruising around looking at race
La-
tires and
Lambo
looking
parts.
at Lambo parts and stuff like that. Let me tell you something, ladies. We could be into booze, heroin, whores. Let me tell you, why don't you watch that show Mad Men, see how things used to be. Believe me, if their man was sitting around typing around on something looking for little mini bike parts, that'd be the best goddamn day of their life. So how about you zip it? Jesus Christ. Sitting home trying to raise a family, let a man blow off a little steam on eBay. In the back of the day, they'd be out with their mistresses, drinking
Just good,
scotch.
it's good, clean fun.
We're just good, clean fun. Couple of dollars spent, not nearly the money we'd be spending on our gumas
That's right.
for
Yeah.
the apartments, the jewelry, the occasional
Doctor's
abortion, the doctor's visits.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, come on, stop bitching us out. We're sitting. First off, we're at home.
Yeah.
You know where we are. We're sitting at home, drunk on eBay, looking for Evel Knievel parts, like a man.
No
Absolutely.
shame in that.
God bless
Sorry,
you.
I just had to,
No shame in that.
I had to purge myself of that, Bo. This is your patriot and a hero for collecting this stuff is what I'm trying to say.
thank you.
And a hell of a dad. A hell of a dad.
Thanks.
Did you get any of this junk when you were a kid?
Well, I had the Evel Knievel lunchbox and thermos, but I lost it.
The thermos. I know. Oh, I forgot about the stunt crash car, the one that
Yeah, it explodes.
Explodes
the
when
one
it
that
hits.
explodes and pops.
Is it the one on the motorcycle that you pull the tab
Yeah.
and he jumps?
Or I think it was the crank.
There was two
They made that like
modalities.
flywheel that was in there.
Yeah, there was two. There was the crank and the T-bar.
Oh, yeah.
The SST.
Yeah, it had some like flywheel that
Right.
it would just wheelie up and
Right.
then smash into
You know the
something.
beauty of that T-bar is once you're done, pulling it out of that flywheel.
Whip
if
your
you
brother
hit
with
your brother in the ass with that thing. It was 1,000. It was like getting 1,000.
It was the It was like the Hot Wheels track.
Hot Wheel track. Yeah, they're all great weapons. Yeah, but somehow that T-bar was nice. It was just razor thin.
Yeah, with that like the teeth cut
Yeah, the
into it.
teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, stung. Yeah, if you gave the teeth end, the business end, that meant you were pissed. Well, last but not least, gas, which is
That's me. I'm sorry.
that's good stuff, Ganz. Galpin's been doing the custom stuff for a million years, and now it's kind of official. You guys have your own boutique. We're standing here with some cool Roush motors, and I love this whole crate thing, and I love the whole fuel injection thing, and just the fact that everything works and it lines up and the bolts work, and you can just take a Mustang and you can take a crate motor, and things have warranties and they've been dynoed and there's no guesswork anymore. And I'm looking at some of the toys you got around here. First off, I thought behind us, I thought these were turbos. I did not know they were superchargers, but they're superchargers that are in turbo clothing.
Vortec and Paxson blowers on there.
And yeah, these are sort of, the Paxson are sort of the old school ones, right? That would come
Yeah, the
on
original
like the old
Shelbys.
Cobras
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I think Don's dad wanted to buy a
289
289
supercharged.
Guy wanted 90 grand for
No,
it.
no,
or
I think
something.
it started way lower. And then every
60
time
grand? Are you nuts? 30 or $40,000
Yeah.
stand was like, I wasn't born yesterday, son.
you cut me a deal, I ain't touching it.
Wow. And so again, everything here you can bolt on to a Mustang, you can bolt on to, and you guys have expanded this into everything, right?
Well, we really customize all makes and models, new and old. We're doing a lot of classic cars right now, so doing everything from crate engines and building cars, literally from the ground up. So we can start with a bare chassis and then build a true resto mod. We just did a couple of really badass resto mods to new cars, from Mustangs to exotic cars like Astons and
I think it's
Lamborghinis.
I always see interesting things when I come by here. I was like a year or two ago, I saw like this gigantic lime green diesel, something with tanks or something, and
Right, that was an F450 we got to run on biodiesel and hydrogen.
yeah, it was something
So
I didn't even know they went above 350. I got a 450.
for the big boys.
Speaking of
that's
big
big
boys,
boys.
what kind of big block motor is sitting behind us and our camera at this point?
that is a Ford Racing.
Probably got 5.4.
What is that? I think that is the 5.4.
And
It's got the blower, so we're showing the.
So here's the blower. Here's the turbo-esque blower that is then running into the intercooler, which is then running into this plenum and going back down into the motor. And is this the motor that they were talking about, doing the reproduction of the overhead cam motor?
Well, I
No,
think
this
you're
is a
referring
late
to the
model.
302. Yeah.
You're thinking of the Ford Camera or whatever they call it now.
Right.
No, this is a late model, probably out of it's like the similar motor in
Why the
the
valve covers seem so
big.
Yes, thank you. It's a what?
4-valve. It's a 99.
Oh, it is a 4-valve.
Yeah, that's a late model.
Well, wait a minute. It's a 4-valve motor, so it's an overhead cam motor?
Dual overhead cam.
Oh.
But not the. You're thinking of the old.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You're thinking
though.
60s, like the Ford.
No, but this is
SOHC
the
or
newer
something
version
like that.
of that. Yeah. So this is this is a 4-cam motor. Yeah. Okay. Now I got you. I
We'll
like
fix that in editing.
Aluminum block, aluminum heads, 4 cams. Now we're talking and probably close to 500 horsepower with this thing.
I think this one's between 500 and 600 horsepower.
Nice.
I want to say in the 570 range, but I'm not exactly sure of it.
And drive it every day.
Air conditioning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. You guys also do the big brakes, the Willwood stuff, and the Brembo stuff.
We do anything with trucks, lifting and lowering, anything in performance, anything.
Big rims for
paint,
Adam's
interiors,
car. We need some 28s.
lots of wheels.
We need some 28s for his Aston.
That I can't help you with.
T-shirts. Yeah. You know, it's always funny. Whenever you do one of these places, you always have to have a good-looking chick working the counter because, you know, you got dudes showing up and they're all heterosexuals and they like to see that. And I feel sorry for the chick because she's not appreciating this. It'd be like you working at a jewelry store. You'd be miserable. Yeah. She's just as miserable sitting there.
No, there are some chicks that love
it's all about
cars.
the money. It's all about the money. Wait a minute. Now
that is actually it's I believe that's a truck. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm gonna say that is
There's too
really
much here to know about everything.
Close to 15.5 inches in the brake department. Wow, that is massive. Wow, this is a huge caliper. But again,
if you create a lot of horsepower, you got to stop. You know.
Well, here's the other thing too. If you take, you know, there's no worse look than the guy who gets his
Giant
truck,
rims?
puts the giant rims, leaves the bone stock, little puny saucer dish size
Iron
rotor
caliper and rotor
on there. So now you have this huge rim and this rotor. It's being dwarfed by this huge rim. Put this baby under there, and you're in hog heaven. Who's making all this stuff? I mean, is this coming?
Well,
how do you guys work that?
You know, we partner up with the best in every category. So we, you know, obviously a lot of companies have been around a long time, have a good reputation. Those are the ones that we do business with. The fly-by-night, we're really not interested so much in that. So we try to take the best in the industry and work with them. So get everything, you know, from exhaust, if you're looking at, you know, Corsa, MagnaFlow. There's, you know, the best of the best is who we like to work with.
And me, I like to work the worst of the worst, but Sandy's the medium of the mediums.
Take what I can get at this point.
One more thing that's catching my eye over here is looks like something for a 4-cylinder.
So this is the Mugen performance package for the Hondas. So Civics and Accords. This is their performance division at Honda.
So that's header, cams, pulleys, intake. Looks like
Fuel regulator.
Fuel regulator there, a cold air intake, cone air filter, and you know, 10 grand, and a year later you just bolted on 8 horsepower.
8 to 10 horsepower.
8 to 10 horsepower. I mean,
It's a
that's
little
to
bit
the
more
that's to the flywheel.
But you look. Well, the one thing that's missing is no coffee can exhaust tips.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got those.
Okay.
Don't worry. Yeah, we've
Yeah,
got it all.
Rest assured, our listeners may be interested in the gigantic 6 to 8 inch tip.
I like it when the guy, let me just give this tip to everyone. Do not start with the exhaust, finish with the exhaust, because there's nothing worse
Sage
than
advice.
a bone stock Civic, like a 88 bone stock Civic. Nothing else has been done to it. It's automatic, by the way, but it's got the big coffee can exhaust
battery
stinger
and
on there.
exhaust sound.
Right, and all of a sudden the guy's on the freeway and he goes, "Grrr," but the car doesn't go any faster.
No.
You just hear the sound.
Usually
Actually,
one door is a different color.
I like the guys who they'll do just the exhaust and they'll squat the car, but everything else will be stock.
Free to cut your springs, baby.
Not a great look. And I did cut my springs on a Jag that Bo sold once. I'm ashamed to say. All right, Bo, you hungry?
I'm starving.
You guys got a diner that's built into this
They
place?
got an awesome restaurant.
What's the name of it?
The Horseless Carriage.
Shall we eat there?
Of course.
some chow.
It's the best.
Let's do it.